Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome, council and staff. Sorry we're a little bit late. There seems to have been some Zoom problems tonight. So just bear with us and we will get the regular meeting of council going after we're finished the Committee of Adjustments. A few statements to make first. This electronic meeting agenda is available at the town's website at greaternapanee.com and is being streamed to the public on the town's YouTube channel. Municipal Conflict of Interest Act, Council's Rules of Procedure, Bylaw, and the Code of Conduct and other pertinent legislation apply to these electronic proceedings as if we were in-person meetings. The mayor will do a roll call and then I will ask the clerk to do a call of staff that are on. If any member of council's connection to this meeting is interrupted, then the mayor will call a recess of the meeting until a member can reconnect either by internet or telephone. If the member is not able to reconnect within 5 minutes, then the meeting will resume. So I'll just ask you to say present. Councillor Johnson.
Present.
Councillor McCormack.
Present.
Councillor Norrie.
Present.
Councillor Pennell.
Present.
Councillor Richardson.
Yeah, present by phone, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Deputy Mayor Kaiser.
Present.
And the mayor is present as well. When I'm asking, I will ask when I'm asking for the voting procedure, we will be doing it for all in favor. And then I will ask any opposed and then I'll announce it. So with that, I'll call the meeting to order. We have the information that we've already given to the public that we are on the town's YouTube channel. I need a motion for the adoption of the agenda, please. Moved by Councillor Pennell, seconded by Councillor McCormack. All in favor of that motion? Opposed? Terry, I will ask you just if you're opposed to anything because I can't see you. If I don't hear from you, I will have to assume that you have voted in favor. If you're opposed, I would just ask you to say so out loud, please.
Yeah, you'll hear from me if I'm opposed, yeah.
I had a feeling that might be the way it might work. Thank you. Any disclosure of pecuniary interest and the general nature thereof? Seeing none. I need an adoption of the minutes of the Committee of Adjustment way back in March 24th, 2020. You have a recommendation that they be received and adopted. Moved by.
Actually, Mayor is Bester. That's a typo. It should be March the 10th. Sorry.
Well, I wondered. Okay, sorry. So we'll correct that to March the 10th, please. So you have a recommendation to receive and adopt, moved by Councillor McCormack, seconded by Deputy Mayor Kaiser. Any comments or questions? You'll see the change from the 24th to the 10th. All in favor of that motion? Opposed? Motion is carried unanimously. Minor variance applications. Minor variance application PLVAR 2020-023. J and C Gifkins 249 Salmon River Road, legal description, part lot 18, concession 8, in Richmond Township, or the former Richmond Township. You have a recommendation that the minor variance application PLVAR 2020-023, requesting a variance from section 4.1.4 and of zoning bylaw 02-22 as amended to permit an existing structure 9 meters in height to exceed the maximum height for an accessory residential building be approved. Michael, do you wish to come forward or does council have any questions on this?
Your worship, yeah, I can explain this one. So
you.
during the delegation of authority bylaw being in effect, an application was received for a consent application was received from Mr. Gifkins at the property. The application was approved by staff, and one variance that was noted that was required was that there's an existing structure that exceeded the height limit for accessory structures for residential uses. So this is to recognize an existing structure that will not be changing. It is just to recognize that it is there and changing from a farm use to being accessory residential.
Okay, any questions? Any questions of Michael? No. If so, council, you have a recommendation. Moved by Councillor Pennell, seconded by Councillor Norrie. If there are no further comments or questions, all in favor of the motion? Opposed? Carried unanimously. 5.2, minor variance application, PLVAR 2020-043. J&H Tugnutt, Schenk Street, legal description, part 16, plan 1182 in Adolphustown. You have a recommendation to permit the construction of a residence at the limit of the floodplain be approved by subject to the following conditions, which you have within your agenda. Michael, did you wish to speak to this, please?
Sure, Your Worship. I believe the applicant wished to address the committee. I'm not sure if they're on the line or if they're waiting to be admitted. Susan, or not?
No, they're not there.
Not there. Okay. So an application was received for minor variance to permit a single detached residence on Schenk Street. Upon further review, the town's zoning bylaw shows the floodplain extending a good ways into the property. So taking into account all the necessary setbacks to site the building, far enough away from the road, but far enough away from the high water mark and the floodplain. Since the floodplain extends in a significant ways, there's really no way to get around this required variance. The CRCA has reviewed and commented, and they have no concern. They just asked that within the development agreement that's proposed in the conditions, that the minimum elevation of any openable windows, doors, anything like that is at a minimum elevation geodetic. So just to ensure that any openings on the building would be higher than any water that could be on the property. So they have no concern. It's very, very far away from the water body itself. However, in the event of a flood, it may come into the property, and that is the requested variance, is to address that floodplain issue.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Kaiser.
Thank you, Your Worship. For Michael, please. So looking at part 16, obviously it's between 14, 15, 17, and 18. The floodplain must affect the other adjacent properties or nearby properties. So that was part of the question. And the second part of the question would be, in the construction of a house, there's going to be excavation, there's going to be refilling and whatever. Is there an opportunity there to change, given that it's so far from the high water mark, if you will, could they change the topography a bit towards the water from the house, just in proximity to the house, to also mitigate that if they can build at or above grade and backfill on the backside?
Sure, yes, through your worship, yes, the EP boundary does extend into lots adjacent this site, though not as far into the property. So that's why this variance is needed. The properties adjacent to this site, we're able to work within that required 6-meter floodplain setback, but this one is just, it's bound by that front yard setback. But yes, the CRCA did comment that some local grading could be permitted to get an increased setback from the flood water per se, from the distance between the actual water in the event of a flood in the building itself. So there is some grading that can be done to mitigate those impacts.
Yep. Deputy Mayor Kaiser.
If I could ask one more follow-up. The floodplain as indicated on here, where would that, is that in respect to 2019 and the extreme high water levels, or is that historic prior to 2017? Do we know? This
would have been prior to the extreme high water levels in 2019. However, this is the Conservation Authority's regulatory floodplain that they regulate.
Thank you.
Any further comments or questions for Michael on this? Councillor Johnson?
Thank you, Mayor. I had the same concern as Councillor, sorry, it's been a long day, as Max did, with regards to whether it was the new floodplain or the old floodplain. But considering that they have agreed to go into a development agreement with the municipality, and the municipality would not be held responsible, this is their risk. So I would be willing to support it under that circumstance.
Anything further from council? If not, council, you have a recommendation for approval subject to the conditions within your agenda. Moved by Councillor Pennell, seconded by Deputy Mayor Kaiser. If there are no further comments or questions, all in favor of the motion? Anyone opposed? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Land severance applications, 6.1, lot addition application PLLA 2020-039. E&D Davie, 327 Bayshore Road, the legal description, part lot 15, concession 1, former township of Adolphustown. You do have a recommendation that the land severance application PLLA 2020-039 to permit a lot addition of 5,000 meters squared to be approved subject to the following conditions, which are again in your package. Michael, did you wish to add anything to this?
No, Your Worship, nothing to add.
Okay, I know that the property is for sale, and is it sort of just a housekeeping item to make sure that that everything's kosher?
The property for sale is owned by the proponents, and they have an abutting property that's also owned by them as well.
Yes.
Very large farm parcel with frontage on Highway 33 and Bayshore Road. So this is to enlarge the property at Bayshore Road from taking a chunk of the larger farm parcel and adding it to the existing developed property on Bayshore Road.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions or comments of Michael? If not, council, you have a recommendation. Moved by Councilor McCormack, seconded by Councilor Johnson. All in favor of that motion? Opposed? Carried unanimously. 6.2, land severance application PLCOR 2020-024. J and Z Mills, 1209 Palace Road, legal description, part lot 28, concession 7, North Fredericksburgh. You do have the application is to create a 1.7 hectare rural residential lot to be approved subject to the following conditions, which are our normal conditions. They're all contained within your package this evening. Michael, is there anything that we need to point out or discuss with this application?
Yes, Your Worship. This application is slightly different than what we would normally see. This is an application to create a new lot. However, on the proposed new lot, there already exists a shed, fair-sized shed. So without a principal or primary use already being established, we would be creating a slight contravention of the bylaw because we can't create a new lot with just a shed on it. We need to have a house on it, and there needs to be that shed needs to be accessory to the house. So as opposed to making the proponents tear down the structure, it's in good shape. Staff don't feel it's necessary. And the proponents are very much ready to construct a new dwelling in the very near future. Staff propose that the proponents apply to council for a temporary use bylaw to come into effect to allow the structure to remain for such time as approximately 3 years is how long a temporary use agreement or temporary use bylaw is generally in effect. What that will do is then allow the proponents to create the lot and then come in to apply for a building permit application, but they don't have to tear down the shed or garage, if you will, as part of a condition of this consent. Since they do have, they are very much eager to construct a new dwelling on the lot. Staff just don't feel it's necessary to make them tear that down to just to fall into compliance with that accessory building provision. So this temporary use bylaw would get us around that and entering into a development agreement to ensure that it is demolished in the event that they do not develop the lot within the 3 years. But that's the proposal here. It's slightly out of the norm, but through the temporary use bylaw, it would enable this consent to proceed.
Questions or comments? Councillor Pennell.
Thank you, through your worship. Michael, I see it on sketch number 2 in the report that there's a larger piece of land that says approximately 11 hectares, 27 acres, that on the drawing is above the parcel that we're just talking about. Has that already been severed off?
That, through your worship, that parcel, let me just try and find it here. There was a lot addition. This property was subject to a lot addition wherein a large chunk to the north, parcel to be severed, yes, 11 hectares. This is an old sketch that was used as part of a lot addition. So that 11 hectares was added to the parcel immediately abutting to the west. And did not actually create a new lot. So that was removed from the parcel that's under consideration now. However, there is no we're not exceeding the number of consents for this lot. If that's the question that you're asking, this was to add to an existing lot, not to create a new one. That 11 hectare parcel.
Thanks. That was my question. That's where I was going. Thank you very much.
Any further comments or questions of Michael on this? So how do we keep track of the timeline, Michael? And it sits we obviously, well, you say it's a three-year temporary. Are they looking to build right away?
They are looking to build right away. Yes. Yeah. So what the way that this would proceed is there is a slight deficiency in frontage that would be created through this consent. So staff are proposing that a condition of this be that the applicants rezone both the retained and proposed severed parcel. And in that we can couple the temporary use bylaw public meeting with that public meeting, just to save a little bit of time for the proponent.
So they've got a fair commitment to it then to keep going. Okay. Council, if you have no further comments or questions, you do have a recommendation before you. Moved by Councillor Pennell, seconded by Councillor McCormack. All in favor of that motion? Opposed? Motion is carried unanimously. 6.3 land severance application PLCOR 2020-0400. Arnaoutidis, I'm sorry that if I have murdered that name, I apologize. Sherman's Point Road, legal description, part lots 22 and 23, concession 4, part 60 and 61, plan RD-48. You have a recommendation that the application be approved subject to the regular conditions. Michael, is there anything that is different about this or anything you'd like to point out to council, please?
Yes, Your Worship. Late today, I received a call from a member of the public stating that it was a former surveyor, so they have a keen eye for small details. They noticed that the actual size of the proposed created lot. So what happened was the proposed severed and retained lots were originally separate lots for quite a long time. There was an inadvertent merger that occurred on title, so there's the need to sever the lot back, put it back into place. However, in doing so, there is a site-specific zone on these lots in that 0.2 hectare area is the minimum permitted size of lot with 30 meters of frontage. The actual size of lot that was in existence and all of those lots that are in existence today, they're actually 0.16 hectares in size. They're not 0.2, so they're slightly less than 0.2 hectares. So in that, a minor variance should be sought to address that slight deficiency in area. It's just very interesting that the existing site-specific reduction in area does not account for the actual size. So it almost seemed like it was an inadvertent rounding error that was done some long time ago. But over the course of this, since this is a new consent application to adhere to today's bylaw, it would require a minor variance to address that very slight reduction in area.
Deputy Mayor Kaiser.
These two lots in question, I actually own two lots in the same area. One of them until Friday. They're all 100 by 175 feet, which gives you 0.4 of an acre or 0.16 of a hectare. Is there any way we can do it simpler than requiring another step. Because as you pointed out, what about 7 years ago when the person bought these properties, they were inadvertently merged when registering to title. They still have two separate roll numbers. The legal description still exists. I personally, I think somebody goofed in when registering, and we're causing them to take extra steps and extra costs and extra time for the sake of somebody's mistake with no intention of creating this conundrum in the first place. So can we make it as simple as possible and avoid going through the process for something that is the same as 88 other parcels in proximity?
Through your worship, it's the decision of the committee whether or not they want to impose that condition to require that variance. But staff just wanted to bring to light that it would be prudent to do so. However, it is the committee's decision whether or not that condition be added.
Thank you. Councillor Pennell?
Thank you, through your worship. This is just a comment. In the documents that were provided, I'm assuming we're looking at RD 48 and the pink outline or pink outline, as what Deputy Mayor Max just said. The frontage is actually 77.9 on this one lot, and the depth is 173.53. So it is smaller than 75 by 100.
Your worship, just looking at that sketch right now, if you look at, it looks like there may be an easement in there, but if you look at beside the 77.9, there's a small
there's a hydro pole.
Yeah, I think it's a hydro pole.
It's a hydro pole. If you look at the back of the lot, it's 100 feet. And if you look at the front of all the lots, they're 100. What they're joining, the 77.9 is indicating the presence of the hydro pole. It doesn't go to the lot corner, which is the white square.
Yeah, so adding 22.1 feet to that 77.9 would make up that difference there.
Thank you. Thanks.
I've traveled across that property many times.
Council's wishes. You do have a recommendation.
I'd like to move that we grant the severance as indicated without the condition.
Okay, moved by Deputy Mayor Kaiser, seconded by Councillor Pennell. Any further comments or questions? And Michael, that satisfies what we were trying to do for the resident? Without cutting corners, just trying to be reasonable. Okay, so all in favor of that motion? Opposed? Seeing none, carried unanimously. Thank you. I need a motion for adjournment, please. Moved by Deputy Mayor Kaiser, seconded by Councillor Pennell. All in favor of that motion? Motion is carried. Thank you unanimously. Susan, do we move into a new Zoom? I'm almost afraid.
I'll send out a new link.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. We'll see everyone shortly. Thanks very much. Terry, we'll give you a chance to see if you can't get on live and in person, okay?
Yeah, I think the Zoom thing is working. So I just, if she sends us the link, I should be okay, I'm thinking.
Okay, we'll wait for you then, okay?
Yeah.